Hello, so I'm Pete Allen, survivor instructor for the British Army and also a scout leader for over 20 years now with the 16th Norwich Sea Scouts, and I've in the past run a couple of bushcraft survival companies as well, going into schools and delivering activities in schools, or bring them to the land where I'm currently at the moment, the 16th Norwich Scout Hut, and actually delivering some forest schools or bushcraft activities inside the vicinity where we are. So what I'm going to be doing shortly, I'm going to show you around what facilities I've got to access to inside the 16th Norwich, and also this equipment which I've got to offer and able to use. All this equipment you're going to see is going to be my own, and which I can deliver activities in the nature school environment or bush or forest school environment, depending on how you want to see it sort of on there. I'm going to go through a few, I'm going to point out a few safety things which I've picked up in the time of how I address those, and also the equipment and the layout, how I foresee using a good area and using nature around you can really bring the best out of the young people in doing these activities. So I'm going to turn this camera around a little bit, and there's going to be some sort of overlay footage, there's going to be some sort of overview footage from me talking at the same time and explaining what I've got in front of you. So you have some sort of better idea of who I am and what capabilities I can bring to your school if I'm successful in your role as a nature school teacher or instructor. So let's have a quick look now. I was going to say, most of the filming is actually going to be taking place underneath of one of my shelters. I've got 3 shelters and access to loads more if required to do so, but I am aware that your school has a an outdoor pavilion or sort of thing outside, which we could use if it comes to like the weather is now. We're a nature school. At the end of the day, we're outdoors instructors. Well, we need to be outdoors and out and adapt to the situation what we've got around us. But that sometimes just means planning or having backup plans or weather contingencies for activities. So you can't always do the things you want to do, but if you're wearing the right clothing and right prepared, and you're prepared to get wet, messy and that sort of stuff, and you've got facilities to do so, then you could go outside in the weather and that sort of stuff as well. But having shelters at my disposal is a big sort of wonderful thing. I'm going to give you an overview of the area which I'm now looking at, give you some idea of roughly how I'd do it. So as I said, I'm in the 16th Norwich Scout Hut, where I do most of my stuff, where there's lots and lots of land. I've got lots and lots of open field, 110 metres of open grassland. And at the very, very back of me, we've also got the River Wensum as well, which is actually fenced off. And when we do things like water activities down there, or pond dipping, or looking at the rivers, we will put throw lines and nowhere buoyancy aids, as it states on the thing, no one pass the thing. And all they're held inside my containers, so I've got access to all those sort of stuff. But this is generally the area in which I designed and built up over the last sort of few years of being down at this hut. So it's a work in progress. When I first got here, there was nothing. There was just a little fire pit really close to the stream what comes along over here. Okay, so we've got some trees, some quick growing trees, some willows and birches and beeches growing around here as quick growing things, but also it's going to give good recognition for tree recognition and another site thing, another activity where willows, we can do lots of whistling, we can do some willow weaving and all sorts of stuff with willows, which are really good. I've recently over this summer built a wood store so we can start storing my wood for my campfire pit, which we brought it forward, and when it's not in use there's a metal grate which is just there that goes on top, and it's marked so people always know there's a campfire area. We've got cooking stoves, the fire extinguishers and the buckets always available. The benches coming around, usually the bench is a little bit further away. It's just me today just filming, and I'm just sorting some wood out to put back into the store, just cut a load of kindling up. We've got one of my shelters, it's got 4 sides if I need to. These are my activity shelters. How I like to do my sessions is, as in all forest schools sort of ethos, it's a child-led activity. So what I would have the main theme or activity which I'm planning to do will maybe be inside the tent. So today this one's set up as fire starting, or it could be Stone Age jewellery making, or it could be spear making, or it could be wood whittling, it could be endless stuff. Cooking, we could be doing some cooking on the fire and using leather pouches to cook stews or making hot chocolates. There's a whole host of activities we could do inside these shelters if it's bad weather or if it's windy. But say this is currently set up for some fire starting, because usually the very first session I would teach students is safety, and part of safety is fire safety. We all know they love being outdoors. Outdoors environments are always known for having some sort of little fire. I say fire is not the be-all of all activities, but it's one of those things that the kids either love or they're really afraid of. So starting off sometimes with a fear of the unknown. It's the biggest one of those sort of things that people don't really show up. There's a fear of the unknown, the fear of not knowing what's going to happen to them, the fear of not knowing what situations around them or something out of their control. But if we can, just got a bit of cable tie. If we can teach them the safety elements and say that fire isn't, I've got some bad light. There we go. Now, if we can teach them that fire is safe and it's not destructive and that, and when used in a controlled, small manner, you can do lots of stuff with it. And you've got to think, humans, if we didn't learn how to make fire, we wouldn't be where we are now. So that is the start of all human civilization. Really, was the key of when we learned how to make fire. As we say in the Jungle Book, King Louis wants the power of man-bred flower because he knows he's an ape. He wants to evolve beyond that ape again. We've got the fire. So how I do it though is I would like to demonstrate sometimes little aspects of making fire in different ways and different methods, and then I will have an area set up like we've got now, where I'm with an instructor or with myself or another adult supervising. We can go through and teach the kids how to use a match. Some of them have never used matches before. How to use the fire steels. I also got a system where we can demonstrate how fire actually works with the oxygen actually getting compressed under pressure. We've got all that sort of stuff. And once they learn these basic skills now, throughout the rest of their bushcraft or forest skills or nature skill sessions, they can help take part in building these fires, lighting these fires, and be able to gain more control in what they want to do, become more self-aware, and get that confidence of being able to do things around things which would have potentially made them scared. So what have I got? So we've got some waxwood with matches, which is always a good one. We've got cotton wool balls, the Vaseline, and a fire steel, or flint steel, or magnesium ferro rod, whatever we want to call it. I've got some natural type of things, so birch bark. I show the properties of birch bark, show the properties of fat wood, show the properties of fungus. So this is a birch polypore, and when you light one of these, it will burn for hours and hours and smoulder, so you can transport fire. That is a really good thing. What the hunter-gatherers used to do is light one of these and carry it around, put a bit of string around it and carry it around with them, and then they've always got fire. So with them, we've got some traditional methods. We've got the Stone Age method using the pyrite and the flint, and we've got the bow drills. But we all know bow drills are quite hard, so I've actually got some child-friendly ones where these are guaranteed to make a fire in no time at all. And they can be used as pairs and that sort of stuff. Then we've got some other ones. So in here we've got some char cloth. So this is just burnt 100% cotton, which we like. We've got some soft bedding, sort of cotton material. And these are fire pistons, where you put a bit of tinder in the bottom of char cloth or the tinder, push down really quickly on the pummel, on the piston, and the air gets forced down to the bottom and causes to ignite at the bottom of the tube. So they can see this, how it works, but then we've got a proper one for actually making fires as well. Yeah, so that is the stuff which I'll go for the fire. So and I use these metal tins as well, so it doesn't damage the ground. So you can put them up high, you can put them down low, and a sort of nice little system where you can help teach making fires. And then once they've laid them, we've got a little one over here where we've got cook pots, we put ketty kettles in there, all sorts of stuff where we can build our own fires, make our own stew. So generally I just use this for boiling water and then make hot chocolates and that. When I do food, I make sure check on the food hygiene. We follow the food hygiene laws. We also look at what dietary requirements, because I know this because I've got children in my family whose one's got nuts allergy, we've got an egg allergy, we've got a dairy allergy, we've got an orange allergy, and I've also got a gluten allergy. So I'm fully aware of the problems of which having the food situations could be. Right, so that's that one. Right, the next area is a tool area. So I don't want to get all my tools out and get all wet and dirty. I'll show them inside here straight after this. But the chopping and the chopping and cutting areas, they need to be controlled the most, because potentially you're not going to have a small injury with one of those. Yeah, you're not going to have a small injury with one of those. It's either going to be all or nothing. So learning how to use axes and knives, potato peelers for the younger kids for whittling, or using saws safely is another thing which I'll demonstrate prior to actually doing these things. And once we've got that, there'll be a controlled one-to-one session with the kids going through how to use these tools. I have a controlled method where they come in and only out sort of one way. This is at the moment blocked in by trees down one side and fenced down the other side. So the entrance is always going to be in front of me. Yeah, so if I'm always facing this way, so I'm always going to see people coming in towards me to make sure it's perfectly safe to do so. When I do teach axes and that, I teach the two-handed method where they sit down, when they kneel down. When they're kneeling down, you're not going to miss and swing and hit your legs. And we have little thin boards which I cut up, but instead of having the boards trying to balance it, I'll have another board holding it so their hands are well away from the wood, or myself or another adult would hold this wood right to the side. That means the kids have only got control of using the tools, in which they can learn some hand and eye coordination and confidence again in a safe environment. Okay, so other type of areas I would have, well, getting smoked out now, inside my so other areas I would like to have or use inside the nature school environment is a sensory area. I love to have sensory areas with different smells or different things to look at, feeling, everything around nature in which you can really involve the younger sort of people from nursery, reception, years 1, years 2. Those sort of things are really, really interested to get their hands and get them used to seeing things, get them messy. One of the favourite things I find are those liquid balls which you get for feeding sort of lizards and that. They're really sort of cold and sort of thin, and the hands sort of love it. They sort of feel down, a bit like those drinks, you know, those bubble drinks. That sort of stuff is really, really good. Sort of going on there. Herb gardens. Yes, I love to uphold a herb garden, and when we're doing some cooking and that sort of thing, just happens when we're going to have these allergies to with hot chocolates and that. Sometimes it's nice just to go to the herb garden and have mint tea, or nettle tea, or blackberry tea, which are really, really good sources of vitamin C's and vitamin D's and other electrolytes, but don't really cause too much of an issue in any dietary requirements anyone's going to have. So we've got that. We've got mini beast areas. I love building mini beast huts and sort of hides, mini beast hides or mini beast hotels. I've done it with my kids inside the gardens. I've also done sort of lessons on them in the past. Or in like where I am at the moment, we've got a drywall sort of set up and some mud bankments where we go around and forage for different mini beasts and that. Or if you've got access to a wood plot, go around the woods, have a look over there. Or if you've got ponds as well. Pond dipping is a very, very really good activity. As I say, I've got my river, which is over there. During the spring, we get all the little fish come out, and they're really good just to dip net them and put them inside little tubs and have a look round there. Or just having a normal pond inside a school environment is really, really handy to go through, or in the nature school. Just other things to look at, where we're going to learn the safety of water safety at the same time as well as doing the activity. They're going to learn unconsciously water safety and looking after the animals. With animals and that, it's a mini beast. I love tracking. I love to look at tracking and understand the art of tracking. It goes right back to the Stone Age sort of thing. When we learned fire, we learned to start to hunt. When we learned fire, we make tools. Then with tools we learn how to hunt, and when we hunt we learn how to process the meat, and with the fire we learn how to cook it, sort of on there. But it's all about the basic skills of can we find it, what to look out for. So again, let's have a quick look at what we've got there. Okay, so what we have here is another few of my activity areas or locations I would like to deliver throughout a time of bushcraft or survival sort of skill or nature skills. Is the art of tracking and sort of, it's a bit of a sensory sort of thing as well, because some kids have never even seen these sort of things we're looking at before. So here we've got a few items. I'll just move my blanket, the wind's coming over. So here we've got a few items. These are some bones and some antlers which I found in a local wood block, so just outside Norwich. So when we talk about tools in the Stone Age sort of thing, wood, stones and bones were used dramatically for everything. So we've got a shoulder blade of a deer, which is another good thing as a spade or a scoop. Can be used for all sorts of stuff. Just showing the kids any of these and say, look, what could you use this for? Just an imagination sort of comes over. We've got antlers. Antlers were used for weapons. They were also used for just losing some stuff. They were also used for flint nepping and sort of coming over. But again, just having a hold of an antler. This is a road there. Just something they might have never even seen before. Hold. Then we've got some bones again. So we've got a big leg bone. So this again can be used as a mallet and a hammer or other type of weapon or stirring out. And we've got some smaller ones as well. So they also use these as decorations. The smaller bones and teeth and our tips of antlers would drill holes in the top of them, and they made jewellery out of them, and that was a really, really good thing. Was started up and side to that, and that's why I like doing the jewellery making. And we don't use natural materials like this. We make it out of white clay, or we make it out of salt dough. So that's other activities which will be used throughout the time of nature schools. Then we've got this is a little activity I'd done a while ago. I went round and took a load of casts of different animal footprints. So we've got a deer. We've got an imprint of a deer, which is here, and the game is to match them up. Yeah, so they match them up. They pick the pots up and they match them up to. Oh, I've got water. There we go. Another use for that. Sort of coming in. Match them up to the right animals. We've got the chicken foot hare, and there's a squirrel, which is just in there. All lots of little things and rats, and there's little pictures. Morse code is another good thing, sort of signalling and sort of being outdoors. This could be done with when it's night time, when the weather's getting a bit darker and sort of the end of the day. It could be done with torches, or you could do it with whistles. A whole host of things we could use Morse code for. And then we've got the tracking skills. So yes, we can learn to track, look at animal footprints, but also we can sort of play games. I teach people these sort of tracks and what they all mean. And I split them into little groups and teams, and they go off around the woods or around the fields and lay these tracks down, ready for the other team to go look for, or their friend to go look for. So it's another thing which just gives them free reign and do what they want. You give them the skills, and off they go and play over that, and eventually they'll end up doing it themselves, left, right, centre all the time.
I just found another arrow, so left please.
Here we go, so off that way. I've also got hides. Yeah, so I generally sometimes don't tell them what the animals are. These are a couple of rabbits, but just feeling them. Some kids have never even felt a rabbit skin before or hide, and it's all processed properly, ethical, all been tanned. This is clothing grade. Yeah, so these are clothing grade pelts, which are really, really nice and sort of things. And this is what the clothes used to make of: hats and gloves, and then just other things to look for, like a sensory element of the forest school environment. And then we've got the arts and crafts or messy play areas as well, which I like to set up from time to time. So this is because we're doing some things about camp. So we're doing some campfire stuff with the younger age range, key stage 1s and nurseries, sort of learning if they've just done some campfire songs, afterwards we might want to go and do campfire art. So getting some paint out, painting the hand print, putting some sticks on the bottom, some cotton wool on the top for the smoke, which is really good sort of things to do, which inspires them. So they've done some stuff, they've seen a fire, they maybe had a marshmallow or something on there, they're playing some songs, they had a story, and then we'll come back and create some messy art where they can really get engaged into actually the fire itself. Or we've got some, if we teach them some knot work, we've got some ropes, and so we teach them how to do some basic knotting and some lashing. We can do some bit more advanced stuff, some pioneering. And if we've got access to water, we can make little wooden rafts, little stick rafts, or we can make little tents, or we can make a teepee and wrap it with cloth, and then have a reading area underneath it. Let them have some books, or imaginary play inside their own areas which they built. Or the older kids, the Key Stage 2s and Key Stage 3s, sort of. Oh yeah, the Key Stage 2 is the upper end. We could be doing some paracord weaving. So we've got some paracord. We can make some bracelets, or we could do some jewellery or necklaces out of these key rings, out of the paracord as well. So there's a whole host of things. This is going to be dexterity, hand and eye coordination, imagination, creativity. Again, it just inspires the kids and just gives them access. You give them the sources, you give them the materials, and give them the ideas, and just let them have fun out in the woods. Okay, the last thing I like to do with the students and kids as well is teach them some wood art, carving and things like that, because we're outside all the time, and artists always get inspired to do things from nature. Sometimes the trees and the sticks can give us inspiration at the same time as well. So I've got a few little things here which I do like to do to get them on the basics of understanding how to use a tool safely. So for the younger students, so the bottom end of Key Stage 2, I would go to, instead of using knives for whittling sticks, I would use potato peelers. Yeah, potato peelers work really well, especially on willow. Willow's a nice safe stick to whittle down and actually put marshmallows on the end and roast some fires. So, okay, so we can get some lobbers, take a little willow branch down, and then using our potato peeler we can then whittle that down and then go to the fire, which they've probably already learned how to do, and set them build their own fire. Mine's just going out slightly now. And then roast their marshmallows. So lots of things. So they've done some tools, they've done some whittling, some hand and eye dexterity, they've done some fire making, and then they've also roasted it as well, and had really such a good achievement, the whole process from start to finish. All the older ones amongst them, we can start meeting some Norwegian trolls. As we said, Scandinavia, Norway brought forest schools to our country, so what's a good thing about teaching them is some Norwegian trolls. This is basically some two sort of basic knife skills, learning how to use them. When I start doing the knives, I tend to don't go to knives first. I might go to carrots or parsnips first, because they're the same sort of thickness as a stick, but then they can understand that the knife, and you don't have to put too much pressure on it. The knives I use are safety knives, and what they are blunt tips, so you can't cut yourself on the top. They're quite thick, they're sturdy, they're easy to keep. It looks dirty, but actually it is sharp, and I maintain the knives all the time, because if they're razor sharp, they're a lot safer. A dull knife is a dangerous knife, because you need to put more force on the cutting, and then if you do slip, you're going to cause yourself a much more nastier cut than actually having a sharp knife, because it goes over the top, and if it does cut, it's a nice clean cut. But we teach them how to use them properly all the time, so we don't actually have cuts. And then we also use gloves at the same time as well, so they're wearing the gloves and to stop anything. And I do always have a first aid kit along with me if the eventuality does ever occur. I rarely get any problems using any knives, because it's all done in a safe environment and all the right equipment and the risk assessments are carried out accordingly, so we know they're nice and safe to use them. Or we've got some round art, so we might just cut some rounds and they just want to draw stuff. They would decorate it by using natural colours, so we could go out and get some berries and crush some berries and plants and actually make some paint and colour in our own sort of rounds. So this is someone starting to do it. I started to carve it, I said we're going to paint it in the end, and they can draw some of that. Or cave art is a really good one to do. If they get really adventurous, learn how to make spoons with knives and use the hook, the spoon knife. Or we can start looking at using little pruning saws, adding little V's down, or I'll collect a load of V's, and we can turn that into something and make it nice and smooth and sand it all down, round all the edges off, and then put some bands on them and do catapults. Okay, so that really just sums up some of the activities and sort of how I would do my sessions in sort of a nutshell. But there's also other considerations we need to consider as well. We need to make sure we do follow the best practices as in association with the Forest Schools Association, written down in 2011, I do believe they were doing, but Forest School started in 1997 when it got brought over. There are 6 main sort of things around there. I can't remember them in the correct order, but yeah. But you just need to make sure we do follow them. Forest Schools generally has to be set outside in a forestry or natural environment. Yeah. But as we already said, it can be done you can create these environments as well. Sometimes it's like if you're in a city where you don't have access to woodlands and parks, bring that stuff in and build that stuff into your area, and then develop your core skills around it. But give the chance to take the students out of that environment and put them into a different environment. When we talk about learning in different environments and that, we allow calculated risks. Part of being out in the outdoors is learning what is safe and what is not, and are these risks managed. And we need to allow these young people to do these risks in a controlled way, because how are they going to learn? Yeah, like climbing trees, having fun, balancing across a log. Yes, they all can involve things, but if you do it calculated and monitor it properly, and have a high ratio of adults to young people, you'll be able to monitor these things, monitor these risks, and allow these students to have that holistic approach, that child-led approach of what we say for Forest School. Allow them to go out and venture out, give them the sense of feeling and freedom. And we record all these by observation. We record all their skills and all their things they're doing by observation, either by photos or by recording conversations maybe, or video footage, or just taking notes of a session as the kids are actually going through. And we need to, as much as we can, when we do writing our session or plan our sessions, we try to link it to the national curriculum or what they're studying at school at the same time as much as possible. Like during this whole presentation I've been doing, you asked me to talk about a year 3 doing their Stone Age sort of session, and as I said many times through my videos, how I link some of the stuff into the Stone Age sort of thing. Or if they're doing Iron Age or Bronze Age, we might bring different tools in, or different equipment in, or do different things. Or if we're doing about geography, if they're doing a geography section in year 6 where they're just studying rivers, maybe let's go some pond dipping and bring those sort of activities in place to try to link it as much as we can to their national curriculum. Oh, and the final one is, forest schools or nature schools are warm my hands up on the fire, are a long-term thing. It's not just a one-off session where you might just put it in the program and they just do 3-4 weeks and that's it, they never touch it again. I say it's a long-term. It should really be over 2 seasons or over 2 terms. Yeah, so if they did a summer term and a winter term, so therefore we've got stuff we can look at the difference of what it was like to be outside in the summer, what it's like to be outside in the winter. What clothing did we need in the summer, what would you need in the winter? What's the trees like, what's the fauna like? What sort of animals and nature and bugs and what we've got that, or the spring to autumn, autumn to winter, spring, yeah, so we've got all these 4 seasons and changes all the time. Every single day in the outdoors, in nature, is different, and it's being able to learn and engage and develop our skills and have fun and explore, give the students a chance to explore, but also that mitigated risks as well we can put inside there, and just making sure as an instructor you're able to do dynamic risk assessment along the way, so things change daily. So it might just be a case of if we're going to go to the wood block, we might take a photograph of the canopy, and when we can look at the canopy in time and look at it and think, yeah, I can see maybe some deadfall trees, we might not go over there. Well, in summertime it might be really clouded by the winds and sort of you can't see up in the trees, and then autumn time the trees change, you might see a hazard up there which you didn't see before. Or Or it might be like in autumn, you're walking around, you want to do a nature trail around the woods, but all the squirrels are out collecting their acorns and they keep dropping acorns down. And I'm having that acorn hit on an adult head, maybe not, or sycamore or horse chestnuts falling, or sweet falling down, hitting us as adults might not be a problem. But a 4 or 5 year old walking around the woods, 6 you know, a big spiky ball of horse chestnut dropping on top of them isn't going to be too pleasant. So you need to think about where you're going to be doing these activities at the time of year you could be running at the same time. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this, and we have a nice chat as well on Friday. But I've enjoyed doing this as well. It's got me gack outside. The last part of this lockdown, so it's opened the doors up again so I can come out to the scout hunt and start filming some of this stuff. But that's it. Thanks everyone. Again, mine's Pete Allen, and just remember, it's better to be one with the wilderness than to fight and struggle. Until next time, bye for now.